9:27 a.m. The countdown is already running. In just over half an hour, a line will be drawn across the Strait of Hormuz, but no one out there is waiting for permission. The moment has already begun. Iranian fast attack craft are surging forward, dozens of low-profile hulls slicing through the water at full throttle, engines screaming as they close the distance. These aren't patrol boats. They are weapons, each one packed with rockets, explosives, and a single purpose: overwhelm before a response can even form. They believe hesitation is built into the system. They believe the clock protects them. They are wrong. 9:28 a.m. The decision is made instantly. No warnings. No delay. The fleet pivots before the timeline even matters. Steel decks ignite into motion as launch systems cycle at maximum capacity. Missiles tear into the sky, cutting through the morning haze with precision. These aren't guided by sight. They hunt on their own, locking onto heat, onto motion, onto intent. Seconds later, the sea itself erupts. Deck guns roar to life, firing at a relentless pace, shells detonating above the incoming swarm. Airburst explosions rain down tungsten fragments, shredding fiberglass hulls and everything inside them. Speed turns into chaos. Formation turns into debris. Within minutes, the attack collapses into fire and smoke. By 9:37 a.m., it's over. The water is burning. The surface is scattered with wreckage. There are no survivors, only the aftermath of a decision made faster than the enemy expected. The operation didn't begin at the scheduled hour. It began the moment the threat revealed itself. And now, the scale becomes clear. Over 150 warships stand in formation, holding a line that stretches across one of the most critical waterways on Earth. Carrier strike groups form the backbone, massive floating air bases projecting power in every direction. This is not containment. This is control. The objective is absolute. Remove the threat before it can even emerge. Beneath the surface, another danger waits. Mines designed to sit silently on the seabed, listening, calculating, waiting for the acoustic signature of something massive passing overhead. One trigger, and the result would be catastrophic. But they never get the chance. Heavy-lift helicopters move into position, dragging specialized systems through the water. Electromagnetic pulses flood the sea, simulating the presence of massive vessels. The mines react exactly as designed, detonating prematurely, erupting in violent columns of water that tear upward into the sky. Shipping lanes are cleared not gently, but violently. One explosion after another, until nothing remains hidden below. From the coastline, retaliation comes fast. Anti-ship missiles launch, skimming low across the water, designed to evade detection until the final seconds. But they are already being tracked. Radar systems lock on long before the missiles reach open sea. Interceptors launch. They don't chase, they collide. Mid-air impacts turn incoming threats into expanding fireballs, far from their intended targets. Anything that survives that layer meets the final defense, a wall of high-speed projectiles so dense it becomes nearly impossible to penetrate. Within hours, entire layers of offensive capability are erased. And while the world focuses on the visible conflict, something else begins to move. Far from the heat, deep beneath colder waters, Russia makes its move. Not with fleets, not with noise, but with silence. A nuclear-powered attack submarine slips into position, escorted by a specialized vessel designed for deep-sea operations. Their mission is not destruction in the traditional sense. It's disruption. Sever the cables running across the ocean floor. And you don't just cut communication. You destabilize economies, military coordination, entire systems. Nearly all global data flows through those fragile lines. They believe the attention of the United States is fixed elsewhere. They believe the Atlantic is unguarded. They believe wrong. Because what looks like absence is something else entirely. What the world sees is fracture, public tension, political conflict playing out on live broadcasts, words exchanged that suggest division, hesitation, weakness. To outside observers, it appears coordinated defense is unraveling. That illusion is intentional. Behind the scenes, movements are precise. Orders are issued publicly, withdrawals, repositioning, redeployments. Aircraft leave bases. Ships shift locations. Everything suggests a vacuum forming across the Atlantic. But the vacuum doesn't exist. It's a trap. Hidden in silence, forces reposition far closer than anyone expects. Electronic emissions drop to zero. No signals. No broadcasts. Nothing to reveal presence. Then the line is crossed. The moment the submarine enters monitored territory, the response begins instantly. Aircraft already in position cut engines to reduce acoustic signature, then deploy arrays of sonar buoys in rapid succession. They hit the water hard, spreading across a wide grid, sinking to precise depths. Each one listens. Each one feeds data into a growing picture. Inside the submarine, the pressure is immediate. Detection warnings. Rapid maneuvers. The crew pushes deeper, searching for thermal layers, where sound bends, where detection becomes harder. But the net is already inside that layer. Surface ships join in, activating sonar systems that flood the water with active signals. The ocean becomes saturated with sound. Decoys are deployed, attempting to confuse the tracking systems, but the pattern recognition holds. False targets are ignored. Real movement is isolated. Every escape path closes. The submarine attempts aggressive maneuvers, sharp turns, speed bursts, trying to break contact. It fails. Every movement is tracked. Every shift is anticipated. Now the pressure becomes psychological. Day after day, the environment tightens. The submarine cannot surface, cannot communicate, cannot complete its mission. Every attempt to deploy equipment is immediately countered. Inside, conditions deteriorate. Air quality drops. Heat builds. Stress compounds. The crew is no longer operating strategically. They are surviving moment to moment, waiting for an opening that never appears. 18 days pass like this. On the 19th, it ends. The submarine surfaces abruptly, breaking through the ocean in a surge of foam and pressure. Above it, forces are already in position. Ships, aircraft, no escape, no ambiguity. One of the most advanced assets in their arsenal is forced into submission, not destroyed, but neutralized completely. The cables remain intact. The mission fails. Back in the Middle East, the blockade holds firm. A final attempt is made using diesel-electric submarines, quiet, difficult to detect, designed for stealth in shallow waters. The plan is simple. Slip through, strike a high-value target, shift the balance instantly. But the response isn't kinetic. It's electronic. Advanced warfare systems activate, flooding the environment with interference. Sonar feeds become unreliable. Targets multiply, distort, disappear. Nothing can be trusted. Communication lines collapse. Data links sever. The submarines are blind. In unfamiliar, shallow terrain, blindness is deadly. Without reliable navigation, every movement risks collision with the seabed or unseen obstacles. Crews are forced to stop. Engines cut. Systems minimized. They sit motionless. Not destroyed, but completely neutralized. Across the region, the effects are total. Naval assets reduced. Trade routes controlled. Strategic pressure applied, without needing continuous engagement. In the Atlantic, the attempted disruption is exposed and defeated. What appeared to be division reveals itself as coordination at the highest level, a calculated deception that reshaped the battlefield before the first move was even visible. The result is undeniable. Simultaneous dominance across multiple theaters, control above the surface, below it, and across invisible networks that connect the world itself. Technology plays its role. Strategy defines the outcome. And when the order is given, the system responds without hesitation. The blockade holds. The networks remain intact. And the message is clear. Control of the oceans isn't just about presence. It's about precision, deception, and the ability to act before the enemy realizes the game has already changed. What the world sees is fracture, public tension, political conflict unfolding in real time across global media. Statements that sound like division, reactions that suggest instability. To anyone watching from the outside, it looks like the alliance is breaking under pressure. That perception is deliberate, because while attention is locked onto headlines, something far more controlled is happening beneath the surface. Movements are calculated. Timelines are precise. Every public signal is part of a larger design. Orders are issued in full view. Redeployments, withdrawals, repositioning of forces. Aircraft lift off from bases across Europe. Naval groups appear to shift away from critical zones. It creates a picture of absence, a gap, an opening. But that opening is engineered, because the forces never actually leave. They go dark. Electronic silence spreads across the Atlantic. No transmissions, no tracking signatures, no visible coordination. Entire formations operate without a digital footprint, becoming invisible to anyone relying on conventional surveillance. And then, the moment arrives. The Russian submarine crosses into monitored waters, believing it is undetected. It isn't. The response begins instantly, but silently. High above, patrol aircraft adjust their profile, reducing acoustic output before releasing a rapid sequence of sonar buoys. They impact the ocean surface at high velocity, dispersing across a wide operational grid. Each device syncs to a calibrated depth, activating into a synchronized network. They don't search randomly. They listen with purpose. Every sound, every vibration, every shift in pressure is captured, processed, and fed into a unified system that begins to construct a real-time map of the underwater environment. Inside the submarine, alarms trigger almost immediately. The crew reacts on instinct. They descend, deeper, faster, searching for thermal layers, where sound behaves unpredictably, where detection becomes difficult, where they can disappear. But the trap is already layered within that environment. Surface vessels activate their systems next. Sonar pulses flood the water, transforming the ocean into a field of active detection. The quiet disappears. The submarine is no longer hidden. It is illuminated. Decoys are deployed in response. False acoustic signatures scatter across the water, attempting to overwhelm the tracking systems. But the network adapts. Patterns are analyzed. Real movement is separated from artificial noise. The submarine is isolated. Now every movement it makes becomes a liability. Attempts to maneuver aggressively only confirm its position. Speed increases noise. Direction changes create patterns. There is no longer a way to move without being seen. The net tightens. Additional ships enter the perimeter, forming overlapping layers of detection. Air assets adjust position continuously, maintaining constant coverage. There is no gap, no blind spot, no escape route left unmonitored. Inside the vessel, pressure builds. Not from depth, from certainty. The crew understands the situation. They are no longer executing a mission. They are contained within one. Every system on board begins to reflect that reality. Oxygen levels start to fluctuate. Carbon dioxide slowly accumulates. Heat generated by confined machinery has nowhere to dissipate. Time becomes the enemy. Hours turn into days. Each attempt to regain initiative is countered immediately. Every movement triggers a response. Every signal is met with a stronger one. The submarine is no longer hunting. It is being hunted. Day after day, the cycle repeats. No communication. No resupply. No exit. The psychological strain intensifies. Fatigue sets in. Decision-making slows. The environment inside the hull becomes as hostile as the one outside. 18 days pass under constant pressure. On the 19th day, the breaking point is reached. The submarine can no longer remain submerged. Ballast systems engage. Compressed air forces water out of the tanks, and the vessel surges upward, breaking through the surface in a violent eruption of foam and spray. And immediately, the reality above confirms what they already feared. They are surrounded. Naval vessels hold position in a tight perimeter. Aircraft circle overhead. Every angle is covered. Every movement is observed. There is no ambiguity left in the situation. One of the most advanced underwater platforms in the world has been forced into the open. Not destroyed, not lost in combat, but systematically pressured into surrender. The objective it carried is neutralized. The cables remain untouched. The operation fails completely. Back in the Middle East, the situation has already shifted beyond recovery. The blockade is no longer being tested. It is being enforced. In a final attempt to disrupt it, diesel-electric submarines are deployed. These vessels rely on silence, on minimal acoustic signatures, on the ability to move undetected in shallow, complex waters. They are designed to disappear. But the response they face is something they are not built to counter. Electronic warfare systems activate across the fleet. Instead of attacking physically, they target perception itself. The underwater environment becomes saturated with interference. Acoustic signals distort. Sonar returns multiply into thousands of false echoes. Targets appear where nothing exists. Real objects vanish behind layers of digital noise. The submarines lose clarity. Then they lose connection. Communication links to command structures are severed. Data exchange stops. Orders cannot be received. Coordination disappears completely. Now they are isolated, blind, deaf, operating in one of the most hazardous underwater terrains without reliable navigation. Every movement becomes a risk. Without accurate sonar, the seabed becomes a threat. Underwater formations, previously mapped and avoided, now exist as unseen obstacles. A single miscalculation could destroy the vessel without any enemy contact at all. The crews understand this, and they stop. Engines shut down. Movement ceases. They descend carefully to the ocean floor and remain there, motionless, choosing survival over action. They are not eliminated, but they are completely neutralized. Across the entire region, the results compound. Surface threats have been destroyed. Underwater threats have been contained. Trade routes are controlled with absolute authority. Economic pressure builds rapidly as exports collapse and movement through critical waterways is restricted entirely. At the same time, in the Atlantic, a silent conflict has already been won. The attempted disruption of global communication infrastructure has been exposed, intercepted, and defeated before it could even begin. What appeared to be political division is revealed as strategic misdirection, a coordinated deception, a calculated move designed to draw adversaries into positions where they could be contained and controlled. And it works. The outcome is clear. Operational dominance across multiple regions, control across surface, subsurface, and digital domains simultaneously. The ability to engage, disrupt, and neutralize threats without relying solely on direct confrontation. Technology enables it, strategy executes it, and timing defines it. Because in every phase of this conflict, one pattern remains consistent. Action happens before the opponent fully understands what is happening, before they can adapt, before they can respond. The blockade remains intact, the communication networks remain secure, and the balance of control never shifts. Because control of the ocean is no longer just about presence. It is about awareness. It is about deception. And it is about ending the fight before the other side realizes it has already begun.